Did you know more than 80% of the ocean is unmapped, unseen, and unexplored by humans? While they say what you don't know can't hurt you, it's precisely the fear of the unknown that makes the sea one of the scariest places in the world. From shark stare-downs to underwater ghost towns, if you're afraid of the sea, well, you'd better be feeling brave, because you should really not be watching this video. For some people, paddleboarding can be a fun and relaxing activity, but that's only if you can get past the stomach-turning thought of what lies beneath the surface. And sometimes what lies below comes up and reminds you why a little fear might be healthy. While paddleboarding off the coast of Kuatuna Beach in New Zealand, Luke Riley found himself being stalked by an underwater killer. Coming up to the surface, the orca reaches out with its jaws to inspect the paddleboard as a stunned Luke tries to keep his balance. Thankfully, after the wobbly encounter, the whale swam off at a startling speed, and Luke got himself an awesome story to tell around the beach campfire. Despite their fierceness and efficiency as predators, killer whales generally pose little danger to humans, with the only documented attacks occurring in captivity. Turns out orcas are quite the fussy eaters and tend to only eat what their moms teach them is safe. Since humans and paddleboards aren't exactly a reliable food source for the ocean-dwelling orca, our species is not considered part of the tasting menu. Even so, considering the one in Luke's video still came up for a curious nibble, I'd be bolting for the shore regardless. Picture this. You're vacationing with your best pals in New Zealand. You're having a blast, enjoying a few cold ones on the beach and paddling happily away in the sunshine when suddenly...
Get out of the water! Get out of the water! Go, 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 go! Oh my god. That is so cool. You guys are idiots!
While it may look like these guys were about to become a sharky snack, this fin actually belongs to another killer whale. This orca was part of a pod that had come closer to the shore of Opito Bay Beach in Coromandel on New Zealand's North Island to snack on stingrays and ended up just 30 feet from the beach. Killer whales and stingrays? Yeah, I'll stick to building sandcastles on solid ground, thanks. Almost everyone has at least a mild case of galleophobia, or a fear of sharks. And considering their razor teeth, predatory prowess, and daunting silhouettes, it's understandable. With that in mind, what would you do if you found yourself in this position? This terrifying tiger shark made a calm yet calculated beeline for Nikki Brady, who was out diving off the coast of the Bahamas in February 2020. Approaching her head-on until they were just inches from one another, Nikki found herself in a position no one wants to find themselves. An actual piece of shark bait.
Shark bait! Ooh-ha-ha!
While the shark seems merely curious in the clip, behind the great white, tiger sharks are responsible for the second most attacks on humans since records began in 1580. And have been implicated in 138 attacks, 36 of them fatal. While you might think putting your hand up in front of a shark's face would be a good way to lose some fingers, Nikki was actually smart to gently touch the shark's nose to direct it away from her. Inside a shark's snout, there are hundreds of tiny electrical receptors that catch any changes in electrical or magnetic fields around the ocean. This helps them to navigate and detect prey animals, as all animals generate a mild electric field due to the activity of their nerves and muscles. Even lightly touching a shark's nose can disrupt its unique electronic sensor, resulting in an unpleasant sensation for old Sharky, making it more likely to swim away. While Nikki is a professional diver, interactions with apex predators like this are still highly risky. And all it takes is one wrong move for things to get real scary real quick. While the mere thought of a one-on-one with a shark is frightening enough, what about 25-on-1? Floating motionlessly on the water surface, this woman is completely surrounded by at least 25 nurse sharks in the shallow waters of the Maldives. As insane as this clip looks, there have been just 9 documented unprovoked attacks on humans by nurse sharks since records began. This species isn't usually aggressive, but their bite is no joke.
Nurse sharks' teeth are basically like cheese graters, and they suck food into their mouth with a mouth like a vacuum cleaner. If a nurse shark gets a hold of you, you'll be left with a hollow wound from where they've turned flesh into mincemeat.
Even worse is that once a nurse shark has latched onto its victim, they don't often let go. In May 2016, 23-year-old Shaylin Borkowski was swimming around Boca Raton, Florida, when a 2-foot nurse shark hooked its teeth into her arm and wouldn't loosen its grip. In the end, both Shaylin and Shark were taken to hospital to be separated. Makes you think twice about joining the Maldives Fearless Floater for a swim with some quote-unquote harmless sharks. I don't fancy getting covered in 25 flesh vacuum holes, thank you very much. Taking a dip in the ocean may seem like a relaxing addition to any vacation, but you can never be sure of what's swimming right alongside you, even in shallow waters.
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, my God.
Guests at Splash Resort in Florida were horrified when they spotted a hammerhead shark lunge for one lone swimmer near the shore in 2021. If you look closely, you can see this hammerhead was actually aiming for a small fish that seemed to be using the swimmer as a human shield to escape. Hammerheads are ravenous predators, and their mallet-shaped head boosts their ability to find food.
These 2 outward extensions are called cephalofoils, and the positioning of the eyes mounted on the side of the shark's distinctive hammerhead allows them to see above and below it at all times.
Luckily for this swimmer, there's never been a report of a hammerhead killing anyone in an unprovoked attack, but things could have turned out quite differently if he'd come up against another toothy terror a little further from the populated shoreline. In December 2021, David Schur found himself alone in the open water, face to face with this. Even with a fishing spear for protection, David would have been in some serious hot water if this killing machine had chosen to strike. The great white is the shark responsible for the most unprovoked attacks on humans in history, with a record 354 attacks, including 57 that proved fatal. Despite being a keen spearfisher and lover of the ocean, even David admitted he began to freak out a little when the shark started swimming right towards him. Fortunately, on this occasion, Mr. Toothy decided that David didn't look so tasty. But things can end a lot more dramatically when a person catches a great white's eye like this.
Lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eye.
If you're still worried about hungry sharks, why not distract them with a Be Amazed video? They won't be able to take their eyes off all this delicious content. So go ahead, swim over to those like and subscribe buttons. I'll keep you safe. Now, let's dive back in. 3,000 feet below the sea surface, light from above becomes scattered and absorbed so completely by the water and the particles in it that everything is plunged into total darkness. While the deep ocean is still an enigma, we've already captured some truly horrific critters on camera living down there in the dark like this. This is an anglerfish, a fish that fishes for fish. Its name is derived from the word angler, referring to someone who fishes with a rod and a line. In the anglerfish's case, this rod is known as a lure and is attached to their head with a bright bulbous light on the end of it, filled with light-emitting bacteria, which it uses to attract prey. Much like moths to a flame, curious prey are lured to the glowing orb in pitch-black surroundings, delivering them into prime feeding position in front of the anglerfish's enormous jaws. Anglerfish are not only horrifying to look at, but have some pretty nightmarish dating practices too. From birth, male anglerfish basically suck at the deep-sea life. They don't have a lure, so aren't very well cut out for surviving on their own, and have to find a female to latch onto for life.
The tiny male will bite into the much larger female and become a parasite, fusing with his new girlfriend.
Getting nutrients directly from her body in exchange for his, male juices, which can be used to fertilize her eggs indefinitely. How romantic. Despite their demonic appearance, female anglerfish really do have the patience of a saint, and are able to carry numerous clingy boyfriends on their bodies in their 30-year lifetime. As complicated as human relationships can be, it certainly makes me feel lucky. I mean, talk about needing some time apart. If you thought the anglerfish was freaky, this next underwater oddity is so bizarre looking, you'll swear it must be fiction. This is the Macropina microstoma, a unique fish found around 6,500 feet below the ocean surface. Believe it or not, those eye-like holes in its face are its nostrils, and those bulbous green balls inside its head are lenses of internal tubular eyes that can rotate from looking straight ahead to see all the way through the top of its head. You'd better get used to that dead-eyed stare, as micropinas have no eyelids, so they never blink, instead having a clear fluid-filled shield that protects their eyes. Macropinas usually grow to just under 6 inches in length, which is a blessing when considering their horrifying looks. I mean, can you imagine if this thing was the size of a whale? Those eyes would be the size of bowling balls. It's equally amazing and scary to imagine that these alien-looking creatures actually exist on our planet. But I, for one, am glad they're firmly out of sight at the bottom of the deep. Back up to the surface now. A fishing trip can be a relaxing and fun experience, especially with a few buds. But for one group of fisherman friends, a New Year's Day fishing trip turned into a date with fate that'll shiver your timbers hard enough to cause an earthquake. Check it out.
This close call with a marlin, captured off the coast of Port Stephens, Australia in 2016, is pretty much as close to disaster as it gets. Deciding that something other than him should be on the menu that day, the marlin almost skewers the poor angler up ready for an Ocean Grills barbecue. Just goes to show that out at sea, nowhere is truly safe, even above the surface.
While the ocean's top predators can't really follow you onto dry land, sometimes the ocean finds itself occupant to a predator or two who terrifyingly dominate the land and water in equal measures.
I have never been shaking so much in my whole life. Man! This monster is like 10 meters in front of us. Oh my... me dead! I cannot stop shaking. Welcome to Cardwell, North Queensland. Oh my lord, he's like 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. Oh my god. You should have had your camera so you could have taken some stills at the same time.
Yep, apparently now we have to worry about crocodiles in the ocean too. Just great. After heading out for their regular Sunday morning fishing trip in northern Queensland, Australia, Yvonne and Tony Palmer caught a lot more than they bargained for. After reeling in a couple of small sharks, something even more terrifying loomed over the waves in the near distance. This saltwater megacroc looks to be at least 13 feet long, revealing its colossal size as it came ashore to pilfer the sharks Yvonne and Tony had caught. In most parts of the world, a beached croc encounter like this is practically unheard of, but in Australia it really isn't too uncommon to find crocodiles surfing the ocean waves. Saltwater crocodiles are very violent and territorial by nature and tend to migrate away if they lose territorial disputes. The long migrations can take weeks and see many crocs surfing the ocean's currents to propel them to their new destinations. And looks like the croc in this clip was lucky enough to come across a shark snack drive-thru on his travels. So if you thought the beach could keep you safe from what lurks beneath the waves, think again. Or just never go to Australia. When Jules Casey and her diving partner plunged down to explore the waters of Port Phillip Bay, Australia, one ocean dweller decided it was going to explore them right back, in a decidedly creepy way. While sea creatures are usually curious of camera equipment, this Maori octopus bypassed it completely, aiming straight for the diver's head. While the diver got free without issue, it could have had a seriously painful outcome had the tentacled creature decided to bite. The beak of an octopus is hidden in the middle of the animal's 8 arms, and is sharp enough to tear prey's flesh apart with ease, even crushing shells. So coming mouth to mouth with this squishy-looking sea dweller isn't as harmless and as cute as it seems. I'm not sure what's more terrifying, being strangled by an octopus or having to give one a kiss. While octopi occupy a strange middle ground between adorable and horrifying, other many-limbed underwater creatures are creepy cute in a different way. Check it out. Every year, members of this particular species of tuna crab find their way up to the west coast of California from the continental shelf of Mexico. During these periods, tuna crabs, also known as squat lobsters, can be seen in swarms of thousands. The mini swarms seen here with their tentative, curious, pinching look like they might be sizing up diver Jessica Hammond's hand, either to make a friend with it or to devour it. What do you think? Cute or creepy? Let me know in the comments below. The Great Barrier Reef is one of the most famous patches of ocean on the planet. While its dazzlingly colorful exterior can make it look like quite the playground, there's a whole host of horrifying nooks and crannies to catch you out.
How's that?
I can't be the only one who was holding my breath the entire time he was under. This aquatic adventurer and his pals discovered a watery black hole and decided to dive headfirst into the void to see where it would lead. I don't think I need to tell you guys that this is a don't try this at home or your local coastline kind of situation, and diving headfirst into a rocky chasm like this is a surefire way to crack your skull open. Not only that, but once you're down in the watery black hole, one wrong turn could end in disaster if you can't find an exit hole or get swept deeper and deeper by a strong current. Thankfully, this Aquaman made it out unscathed this time, so I hope he counts his lucky star. Fish. If the thought of getting trapped in an underwater maze has you feeling a little breathless, this next plunge is sure to have you reaching for the oxygen tank. Free diving is a type of diving that doesn't utilize any scuba gear. If thinking about venturing down into the deep with no means to breathe doesn't freak you out enough, then wait till you see just how deep these guys really go. This is Adam Stern, a professional freediver who enjoys nothing more than deliberately falling off underwater cliffs. With freediving, you can only travel as far as the air in your lungs will take you, And if you don't have an immaculate awareness of your own capabilities, it might just be the last swim you ever have. Thankfully, Adam not only knows how to force air through to his middle ear to keep his ears correctly and painlessly pressurized as he descends, but also precisely the amount of time he can stay submerged for. Even so, the manner in which he grasps at nothing as he plummets into the rocky abyss has oceanic horror movie written all over it. I don't know about you, but all that talk of holding your breath under the sea has made me a little lightheaded. Maybe some cold water could help us snap out of it. Descending underneath a layer of ice thick enough to trap a fully grown man, this diver turns freediving to freeze diving. This winter woeful land is Lake Malata in the Czech Republic. While the clip isn't taking place in the sea per se, Czechia is completely landlocked, so if you ask me, a terrifying frozen lake is close enough to the underwater horrors the ocean supplies to make the Czech nation's watery contribution worthy of this video. Thankfully, Paul Capon is a professional ice diver, and that bright yellow tether helps him find the surface in the event he gets waylaid. Still, with water cold enough to shock the body of those with a weaker constitution into cardiac arrest, stuff like this should give you a reason to fear icy lakes just as much as the sea. Returning to oceanic horrors now, you might assume the fast-moving creatures of the ocean are the most terrifying, but this next clip may persuade you otherwise. This truly haunting sight sits silently on the Atlantic seabed off the coast of the Spanish island of Lanzarote, and is sure to stop any diver in their tracks. This site is Museo Atlantico, an underwater museum made up of 300 life-size human statues. Designed by British artist Jason Decaire Taylor. Jason creates the artistic installation as a reminder that all human life is subject to the movements and will of the ocean. With sea levels rising, the seemingly never-ending collection of concrete bodies warns us of humanity's fate if we continue to ignore the issue of climate change. These things are seriously creepy, especially at night, and the Museo Subacuático de Arte in Cancun, Mexico, also by Jason, is arguably even creepier. An eerie underwater world populated by no less than 450 human statues. Each sculpture was made using pH-neutral cement, which allows coral, seaweed, and algae to grow freely across these poor unfortunate souls. Most of these statues have been in the depths of this deep-sea dystopia since 2009, and have already been thoroughly transformed by nature, their figures and faces drowning in algae. While creepy humanoid statues covered in sea gunk are one thing, there are some even creepier underwater statues out there in the waters of the world. This absolutely horrifying underwater statue can be found in the depths of Lac de Neuchâtel in Switzerland, 134 feet beneath the surface. This guy is here to make sure you don't ever forget your fear of the deep blue sea's classic creatures, even when swimming in a lake. The 16-foot-long shark was made in 2007 and used as a prop for a short horror film called Chakal Lock, and has become quite the local tourist attraction for horror-seeking divers. Thankfully, this demonic shark is just a sculpture, but I'd say it's just as terrifying as its real-life counterpart, and will be a permanent addition to my ever-growing list of reasons to never, ever take a swim in any waters I can't see the bottom of. And heck, going by some of the stuff we've seen in this video, even the waters you can see the bottom of aren't safe. Dry land it is. Which of these watery terrors had you the most freaked out? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching.